The real monsters don't live in the sky. They wear suits and write the rules. You see this? My room, it's a mess. Totally chaotic. Jordan Peterson once said, if you cannot even clean your own room, don't you dare criticize the world. Alright then, Jordan, I won't criticize the world. I will criticize the system. Before we go deeper, I will say this. I'm not a native English speaker. In fact, I often have to look up terms like patriarchy or matriarchy before using them, because even in my own language, I might not say those words once in 10 years. But here I am using your language, speaking from outside your culture, to challenge the gods you thought were untouchable. That should tell you something. If someone like me dares to speak, maybe it's time you listen. Not because I'm right, but because I'm willing to question what you never dared to. The system doesn't mean any one government or country. It's the invisible structure, the rules, the habits, the power lines that quietly shape how we live, think, and behave. But here's the thing. Some people don't even have a room. Does that mean they lose the right to speak? If you don't want to listen, that's your choice. But you don't get to silence others. Having a degree, a job, or a clean room doesn't make you wiser. It only means this system happens to work for you. Peterson isn't standing outside the system. He's not observing it like a philosopher. He's senior player inside the game. He doesn't want to change the game. He wants to optimize it. But maybe the game itself is broken. Jordan Peterson is loved by millions. He talks about responsibility, order, and tradition. He doesn't talk much about patriarchy or feminism directly, but he doesn't have to. The system speaks through him. But today, I want to look at this logic from a different angle. Peterson loves that word, order. Without it, he says, society collapses into chaos. Sounds logical, but let's ask, whose order? Order never exists on its own. It's always defended by someone. When he says keep order, does he mean family peace? He never tells us, and yet millions nod their heads, as if order means the same thing for everyone. It doesn't. A million people, a million meanings. So why do they all agree? Because order feels safe, even when it hidens violence. History gives us examples. Nazi Germany had order. Imperial Japan had order. But order isn't justice. Sometimes order simply means fear. So when Peterson defends order, he's not defending truth. He's defending stability, the kind that keeps the system running, even it's built on someone else's silence. Then there's patriarchy. Peterson says men should lead, protect, provide. Women should nurture, care, stay calm. It sounds poetic, even ancient, but it's really the oldest form of control. Patriarchy isn't about love, it's about power. If the father rules the home, then the government rules the people. Same design. He romanticized this model because it gives man a sense of purpose. But purpose without equality is just obedience in disguise. Let's look at the results. In ancient China, women were not allowed to sit with guests. In traditional Japan, wives had to wait until their husband returned home. Only they could eat dinner. Elegant, maybe. Equal, never. But elegance can still bleed you dry. Japan's patriarchy may look polite, but it's just quiet extraction. China's was louder, but both wanted same thing. Not partnership, just obedience. So, if Peterson truly loves patriarchy, he doesn't need to fix the West. He can just buy a one-way ticket to Japan or better China. Both are living museums of patriarchy. Peterson often mocks modern feminism. He calls it irrational. He says it brings chaos. But maybe what he calls chaos is actually correction. Every shift in history starts with noise, with discomfort. If women can speak, cannot create, cannot choose, then that's not a civilization, that's a cage. Let's look at natural. In a lion's pride, the male guides the territory and eats first. The lionesses hunt, feed the cubs, do the work. That's natural order, efficient, but inhuman. Humans were supposed to evolve beyond that. Yet Peterson wants to go back to the golden cage, back to the lion's hierarchy. He calls it balance, but what he really means in control. He calls it discipline, but it's just a submission. He calls it philosophy, but it's just psychology wearing a crown. I don't hate Jordan Peterson. He's really smart and dangerous in a quiet way, but he's not above the system. He's still a creator of it. He teaches you how to survive inside the cage, not how to see the cage. And maybe that's why people love him, because most of people don't want freedom. They just want a better rules. So sure, clean your room, follow your rules, stay in line. But if you truly want to understand the world, ask yourself, who built this room? Who defines what order means? And who profits when everyone obeys? And me, I used to live in one of these rooms in China. Every morning, I woke up and just shut out at the street before I even cleaned my room. Then I escaped to Japan. Here, it's quieter, more orderly, maybe too orderly. I haven't shouted at the street since I arrived, but that's not because I have become more disciplined. It's because my Japanese isn't good enough to shout yet. So far now, I'm still safe. But maybe one day, when I finally speak very good Japanese, that's the day I will have to leave Japan too. So, who's the next